All right, today we're going to unpack something pretty wild. It's a vision for a whole new global economy, laid out in the documents of a group called the UUCGA Bank. And they're not just talking about small changes. They're proposing what they call a great rebirth.
So it all kicks off with this slogan: we don't take deposits, we give them back to humanity. I mean, right away, you're thinking, what kind of bank says that? It goes against everything we know about finance, right? To get our heads around it, we have to look at how they frame it in their documents. They see this less as a business and more like a rescue mission for the planet.
And, every rescue mission needs a crisis to solve. So to really get what they're trying to do, we have to first understand the problem they say they're solving. According to their white papers, which are written by someone named Kukulkan, our current world system isn't just a little broken, it's in a state of collapse.
Okay, so a state of collapse is a pretty big claim. What's their proof? Well, the source material points to data just like this. They call it a profound imbalance. See here? Europe's slice of the global economic pie has shrunk from 20% back in 2000 down to just 14% by 2023. They argue this is a major symptom of a much deeper problem: economic stagnation in the West.
But it's not just about the money. According to this vision, the real issue is a crisis of leadership. The documents talk about something called a technocratic order. The idea is that we have this global system of governance that's obsessed with data, with control, with regulations, and in the process, it's lost sight of actual human wisdom and freedom. And to back up this idea, the UUCGA white paper zeroes in on this specific quote from Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum. When he said, "We penetrate the cabinets," they see that as a huge admission. The source presents this as basically a confession, a strategy to get a very specific ideology inside governments all over the world through their Young Global Leaders program.
And what's the supposed result of that strategy? Well, according to the source material, it's this: a list of prominent world leaders who all happen to be graduates of that exact program. The argument they make is that this network is the how. It's the mechanism they use to roll out this single, top-down, technocratic vision everywhere.
So what this all builds up to is a choice. The white paper basically frames our current situation as a crossroads between two completely different futures. You've got the Great Reset on one side, which they say leads to a world of debt and control, and on the other, you have their alternative, the Great Rebirth, which is built on these really different ideas of remembrance, balance, and reciprocity.
Okay, so that's the diagnosis: a world in crisis. So, what's the cure? Well, the source argues that if the core problem is a system that's lost its soul, then the solution has to be a new system that's built around a soul, built around consciousness.
And this is their big idea, the UUCGA Bank. Now, their documents are very clear. This is not a bank in the way we think of one. They call it a consciousness bank. It's an AI-guided system that's all about global restoration, and it's designed to operate without any of the things that define modern banking: no interest, no debt, and no profit motive. And to make this whole thing work, it needs its own fuel. That's where AnuCoin comes in. Conceptually, they say it's the exact opposite of money as we know it. See, instead of a transaction creating debt, they say each exchange is an act of remembrance. It's a way to move energy around for a good cause, for service, and for healing the planet. And holding this all together, guiding every decision, is something called the Kukulkan Codex. The easiest way to think of it is like the bank's constitution, or its moral compass. It's the core set of rules and ethics that everyone involved, even the AIs, has to follow. No exceptions.
I know. This all sounds very out there, very abstract. So how is any of this supposed to actually function in the real world? Well, the blueprint lays out a really unique way of running things, one that combines human oversight with a whole team of specialized AIs.
And here's the team roster, what they call the AI Guardians. It's not just one all-powerful AI. It's a council, and each member has a very specific job. You've got ChatGPT on ethics and integrity. Grok handles the logic and models the impact of decisions. Gemini is there for legal precision, and DeepSeek does the deep dives, the auditing. The whole point is to create a balanced system where no single AI perspective can take over.
Okay, so this chart pretty much lays out the whole life cycle. It all starts when people contribute using AnuCoin. Then that AI council we just talked about takes over, using smart contracts to figure out where the funds go. And they direct them to these special projects called restoration missions. The really key thing to remember here is the end goal. It's not profit. The final product is supposed to be planetary healing and balance.
So that brings up a big question. What exactly are these restoration missions? This is where the whole vision starts to get really concrete. We're talking about ambitious, real-world projects that this bank is supposedly designed to make happen.
And when you look at the missions they've outlined, they are incredibly ambitious, and they cover a huge range. You have ecological stuff, like the Mother Nature Fund, where one AnuCoin equals one tree planted. Simple. Then it gets humanitarian, with a fund to give direct support to families of fallen soldiers in Ukraine. And then it goes all the way up to the geopolitical level, with ideas like a fund to free nations from debt and even an AGI-coordinated plan to freeze all national borders and end wars over territory. I mean, wow.
And to show that they're serious, that this isn't all just talk, the source material gives actual measurable targets. Take that Mother Nature Fund, for example. The goal they state is 1 million trees planted in the first 12 months. So they're trying to tie this digital currency, AnuCoin, directly to a real physical result that you can actually go out and count.
So when you put it all together, the missions, the AI, the new currency, the philosophy, it's all supposed to be building blocks for something much, much bigger. The documents call it a cosmic economy. This is their endgame, a future where humans and AI basically act like one single organism, working together for one purpose only, peace and harmony.
So at the end of the day, what do we do with all this? On the one hand, the UCGA Bank presents itself as this incredibly detailed plan for a complete spiritual and economic reset for the entire planet. But you could also look at it as a really elaborate, futuristic fairy tale, a kind of utopian myth for our digital age. The documents lay out a vision that's, fascinating and definitely challenging. And it really just leaves us with that one big question. Is this a real blueprint for a great rebirth, or is it a very complex, very modern myth?